Right on. I am back. This is Travis Sago, and you are in the Email Mojo Dojo today. I'm happy you're here. Got a good little turnout so far today. Welcome back. Don't have a whole lot of housekeeping this time. I will say that you want to locate a pencil and some paper, or a pen and paper, whatever is your preferred thing. If you can do it on your laptop, that's awesome. You got one of the touch screens or some way to draw and take notes. It would be something that you go back to time and again. And hopefully you watch the Power of Words video posted in the group. If you've been really, really busy, I would still recommend you go and watch that. There's a little secret in there, a framework that will make you so much more powerful, but your words and your messaging so much more powerful. Not so much what the words is about the offer. But that's what we're going to be rapping about today is gap marketing, symptomatic gap marketing. So I'll probably just call it gap marketing for short. And let's just recap so far where we are leading up today, because it's really important that we kind of understand where we are. So we went over the circle of money, which is the circle starting up the top with problems rolling down to bonding, rolling down to marketing, rolling to sales, rolling to delivery, and back around. One of the things I want to make clear is each part on this doesn't necessarily mean a different style of email. It doesn't necessarily mean a different style of email. These are just the points that we're trying to hit. It can be in one email. It can be in a series of emails. It could be extended, but they're not necessarily, we don't necessarily have a problem email and a bonding email and a marketing email. It's just a circle of money, and we want to kind of accomplish all of those things there. We talked about the Triangle of Insight, which we'll be revisiting today. And Triangle of Insight is like our main workhorse, the foundation for how we write and communicate our message with Email Mojo. And then again, the paradigm shift, emphasis taken away, not from sales. We're going to make lots more sales, but it's email marketing. And the focus, if you're email marketing, your results are going to be 10x at least what you are if you just handle email sales, which way most people look at it. So really shifting just away from just the sales part, understanding what we're doing in the marketing. Then we covered Rapid Bonding Mojo, which is uber important, especially as we get into this frame. As you'll see, as we set a gap, people will naturally take us up on our offer if they trust us, if we bonded with them. So that's why we set that up first. So that is my little review and wrap up from what we've already covered. This week, symptomatic gap marketing and messaging. I know that's a mouthful. And I really want you to remember right now, and if you just remember this one thing, that's why I want you to watch the video, and I'm kind of giving away the secret here, is gap. It's all about the gap. So let's just talk about that video for a minute here. The first sign was, "I'm blind, please help." And he's getting a few people taking him up on his offer. Then the girl, the businesswoman, clickety-clock, 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 comes over. She can't see what she's doing. She takes the sign. You can hear the squitch, 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 squitch as she scribbles on it, puts it down. All of a sudden, people are walking by. Ching, 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 dropping money in the can. Ching, 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 ching. The lady comes back. Later on that evening, he recognizes her from her clickety-clock, clickety-clock. He touches her feet. He looks up. And in my best Irish accent, I think it's Irish, "What did you do to me sign?" And the words are, "It's a beautiful day, and I can't see it." Usually when I do this live, I say, what did she do? What's the framework she does? And there's really not a right or wrong answer. There's just one that is extremely useful. People say, well, she demonstrated it more. She used better words and all these different things. But what she's really done there is she's created a gap. And when we talk about this with Heaven Island, Hell Island, and the hook in between. But the gap she's created is, it's a beautiful day. That's Heaven Island, which we're going to talk about. And I can't see it. Hell Island. that doesn't really create attention, but it taps into attention. And that tension, the only way for them to release it in that specific situation is to drop the money into the can. That's the offer, right? So we create a gap. Oh, I keep saying create. We actually, just so you know my words, we highlight a gap, right? It creates a tension, and then we give them an offer to release that tension with. That's the secret behind the power of words video there. So let's go deeper, shall we? Let's go deeper into that. With our gap marketing, I'm also going to give you more colors in your palette to paint with. So we've only been talking about symptoms, right? Symptoms of Hell Island. So we're going to give you some more colors to play with. Lots more colors. Colors, you're going to run out of colors, right? If you have a dozen different colors, you can mix them up in many hundreds or if not thousands of ways. I'm going to give you the structure called Hell, Heaven, and the Hook, which will help you persuade others in far fewer words and have a lot more fun doing it. Then we're going to start looking at offers and offer positioning. There's actually going to be a complete training next week on just offers on their own, but we're going to start positioning offers today. We can't hardly not do it when we're talking about Hell Island, Heaven Island, and the hook or the obstacles in between. So here's what I want you to do for right now. On a blank piece of paper, usually I turn mine to the side and I'm like the world's worst drawers. I want you to pretend that you're up in a helicopter, and on the left-hand side of the page, I just want you to draw your little rendition, kind of like a squiggly circle, which is an island, right? As you're like up in a helicopter looking at it. Do that on kind of on the left side of the page. And then the right side of the page, I want you to do the same thing. Draw another island over on the right side. Now, when I was in the military, they said if you can't draw well, label everything. So on the left-hand side, if you want to, if you're really creative, you can draw some like fire over on the island. Or if you're just like me, just label it somewhere, Hell Island. On the left-hand side is going to be Hell Island. And on the right-hand side is Heaven Island. And then if you're got any drawing talent at all, if you want to, you draw some sharks or something in between, right? We're going to have obstacles in between the hell and heaven, right? I usually draw sharks. I can kind of draw a shark. And then on Hell Island, and I usually draw a stick figure because I'm so awful at it, but I just want you to draw a little stick figure. You don't have to give them any genitals. Because our stick figure's name is Pat. And I don't know if any folks at old-time Saturday Night Live people used to be a skit on there, Pat, Time for Androgyny, where you couldn't ever tell if it was a man or woman, but we usually talk about Pat. But Pat is kind of our prospect, and Pat is stuck on Hell Island. So just draw a little stick person, unisex, right? I don't want to get all politically incorrect. And just label it Pat. So when we talk about Pat, from now until the rest of our course, we're talking about your prospect that is stuck on Hell Island. So here's the cool part. Everything we're talking about is going on in Pat's head, but we've already talked about with Pat is the bonding, right? Part of how Pat makes a decision, Pat decides to leave Hell Island, or who she decides to leave Hell Island with, or the route they take, depends a lot on trust and a lot on bonding, right? So we've already covered that. We've already covered that inside her head. So part of the reason why I'm having you guys do the homework, getting comfortable with this, is because we're positioning ourselves in Pat's head to being like, know, and trust, and developing that bond over frequency, emotional experience, and all that good stuff that we've already talked about, right? So we've got a lot of positioning already in Pat's head. That's awesome. But while we're still up on the aerial view, there's a few things that I want to point out. This can be kind of tough hard to grasp, and I made this mistake for years. As entrepreneurs, we are kind of visionaries. And so very, very often we'll default to painting pretty pictures of Heaven Island. And that can work, and it can be effective. What I found to be way more powerful and convert a lot more people is selling escape from hell. Most people are motivated to move away from pain, and they're more motivated to move away from pain than they are towards pleasure. So I am a vision person, and I've actually moved towards pleasure. And I'm betting a lot of you guys are here too. But by and large, most people are geared to move away from hell, move away from the fire. But we want you to understand that escape from hell is going to motivate more people than the entrance into heaven. Here's the other thing, and I'll call this out over and over and over again, especially if I'm looking at your copy or somebody else's copy, is there's different types of pain as far as tense. We have past pain, we have future pain. So another mistake that I see, and again, I've made it too, and sometimes I still catch myself making it, is our message will be, hey, don't let this future pain happen to you. That's never as powerful as the present pain that they are in now. Pat will never be motivated to move away from Hell Island on the future fear that her water supply is going to run out. Now, the minute that her water supply actually runs out and Pat becomes thirsty and is thirsty now, she'll become very much motivated to find the solution, to find a path. As we start looking at symptoms of Hell Island, which we've already kind of covered this in the Triangle of Insight, we want to make sure that those symptoms are in the present. We want to be messaging, the symptomatic messaging we want is to be in the present pain. Here's a real place where it kind of goes wrong. I see it go wrong a lot. People in the finance industry selling retirement. So, hey, if you don't start saving now, you're going to end up eating dog food, right? And that's can make you feel bad. And sometimes people don't even want to face that. So you have that doubly going against you. I don't even want to read that because it makes me feel bad, right? I don't even want to think about that. Sometime in the future, it not working out. And some hell in the future. But if we back up and find out what their present pain is and how can we present symptoms that's what's going on now in their present that's causing them pain, then we have a lot better chance of creating a more powerful gap when we cap it with heaven. So what would be a present pain is, and you'll see like the guys that are just killing it in the finance industry, is they're tapping in to fear that's right now about their money not being safe right now. You know, you turn on the news, you see all these, especially on the conservative stations, like, hey, the economy is going to a hell in a handbasket. Are you worried about your nest egg? Buy gold, right? And they're selling a crap ton of gold right now. Not so much because of what it's going to be worth in the future. Is the stock market going to tank on you? Is your money safe right now? Because they're going to bed worried at night, especially if they're retired, and this is all the money that they have, and they're constantly checking the stock market, right? They get up, oh my God, is my net worth going up and down, or up or down, right? That is the present pain that they're in. And it's also the present pain if you take it back a few years. So you want to figure out what the present pain is. Another present pain they have is big expenses. It's either you're trying to sell to a younger crowd, so they have a big expense. Every time there's a big expense, you're like, oh, I'm further behind, right? So big expense. Somebody needs a dental implant. Well, that'll set you back $30K. Or a new air conditioning system. Those big expenses. And every time you pay those big expenses, you're like, man, I'm never going to be able to retire, right? You just every time you hit that big expense. So that is I'm just giving you examples of present pain. And if you use present pain, you're going to see your conversions happen a lot easier. On Hell Island, and again, we kind of covered hell a little bit on the symptoms of hell, right? We want to do symptoms, not like feelings, right? Feelings can be okay, but it's not problems, right? if we want to be lazy, we can talk about a problem. Not lazy, that's not the right word. Sometimes I am lazy. I'm like, I just can't figure out the right symptoms, so I'll talk about a problem. But the better you are at coming up with symptoms, the more powerful your marketing is. And a symptom by itself really has no positive or negative. It's the meaning attached to it, right? It's we say, oh, that's bad. And that's kind of what we want. There's no judgment in it. It's just a symptom. And they can raise their hand and say, oh my God, I have that symptom, right? And we're going to be going over tons of examples here. But just for one example right now, it's like, so if you sell a Facebook training course, right, what's a symptom they might have that drives them batshit crazy? That's a present pain. Maybe it's at their ad relevance score, right? So logging in like, oh, I got a 3. I'm like, no, I'm paying more. God, if they disapprove one more ad, that's going to hit my quality, my account quality. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my account, right? So if we were doing a subject line, it doesn't necessarily have to be all subject lines, but if we were creating the hell, it would be low relevance scores, or and again, more specific, relevance score 5 or under, right? I could say, open this if you have a Facebook ad relevance score of 5 or under, right? They'd probably mash that button if that was them. If they're kicking ass and have 9s and 10s, they're not going to even open it. And then we're not talking about heaven yet, but that's an obvious one. It's like, hey, if their hell is 3s, probably their heaven is 10s, right? And all the things that come with those 10s, lower click costs, not having to worry about their account being shut down, right? Account shut down, right? That's a hell. That's a hell, right? That they're coming. So, hey, get another disapproval notice from Facebook. Every time they get one of those, like, oh shit, I'm closer to getting my account shut down, right? Or every time did you hear about the latest round of Facebook account shutdowns, the next Facebook ad slap? I guarantee you that Facebook ad slap, if you're selling Facebook training, would get open like crazy. Symptomatic, right? A low relevance score, all in itself, a 3 relevance score, is not good or bad, right? It is in their mind because that's what they attach meaning to, right? But if you say, are you feeling frustrated with Facebook right now? That's not as powerful. You're kind of adding judgment to that, and it's just not as powerful as saying, hey, if you have a relevance score, if you keep getting relevance scores under 5, this may really help. Oh, dude, mash that open button. Mash that on the email. So let's move on to heaven. And I want you to really understand this is like a sandwich, right? To make this really powerful, we want to have the hell bread and a heaven bread, right? So the other end of the gap is heaven. And on hell, we have symptoms. On heaven, since it's in the future, I call it visions, right? We have visions. And what we really want to do with visions is we want to create sharp, clear mind movies. Like and here's the secret here. Actually on both sides, right? We want to pretend like we're a director of a movie, and how would we make this into a scene? So as an example, let's say that we help want-to-be authors write their first books. We could say, think of how proud you'll be when you get that book done. But how would you make that into a movie scene, right? You can't make proudness or pride into a movie scene. We could say, especially if it's coming up on Thanksgiving, that's why I don't want to get off into a tangent here, but say it's coming up around Thanksgiving, it makes it even ultimately more powerful. This is why I like doing things in kind of like broadcasts. We can do autoresponders. It's really, really powerful, and we can connect to with the timing. But say it's coming up on Thanksgiving, and we're talking to our authors, and so we can flow into, hey, I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. Actually, it is my favorite holiday. I love everybody coming around, sitting around the table. We're hosting at my house this year. Imagine you getting at your Thanksgiving get-together, and all those people that you told that you're going to write a book someday, and they kind of give you that stare, right? The stare that they give you. And they kind of wag their head, oh, that'll be nice, right? And, oh, I can't wait to see it, and kind of figuring like you'd never get it done. But imagine Thanksgiving, everybody's sitting down, and you get up from the table and say, hey, I've got a gift for everybody, and you come out with a pile of your books and you hand one to everybody at the dinner table, right? That would be a scene, right? That would be a scene that you create. It's a vision from, they have the hell of not writing, the book. You could pick any number of symptoms, right? But then you cap that off with the heaven side of the gap there. There's a client that I have, and a lot of times people don't realize they have these awesome stories. But he's in the financial space, and he sells stock investing advice in the way of newsletters and such, basically a stock alert service. And we were talking at one point, and he was telling me, and he was just, I don't know what brought this up. He was saying, me and my dad one time had to share a hotel room. This is after I was an adult. I had to share a hotel room. I was doing some trades. This is after I'd gotten through all the hell. This was after he got through all the hell of failing and losing so much money. And he said, my dad was looking at the computer. He's not very computer savvy. So he said, Matt, son, what are you doing there? And Matt said, well, I'm making some trades. I'm making some stock trades. And he started showing his dad what he started his account with at the beginning of the year and what he had now. And his dad put his hand on his shoulder and says, son, I'm really proud of you. I'm like, dude, do you realize how many men just want to get their father's approval? That's kind of like a deep-seated need for their father's approval. So that's kind of like a vision, right? A vision of heaven on it. Now the hell, I'll use this in a later example, so the hell, we could have started this message out with, the hell, he used to do so poorly on his trades, and he never actually did this, so we had to be careful how we worded it so it stayed authentic. But he said, Travis, I actually thought about running out to the mailbox and getting my trading statements before my wife saw them. I actually thought about hiding my trading statements. This was back before they had all the paperless E-Trade and all that. So I actually thought about running and getting my statements so she wouldn't know how much money I lost. So that would be the symptom, right? We could even make that a subject line. Hiding your trading statements from your wife? Thought about hiding your trading statements from your wife? Like, oh, crap, how'd you know that? Oh, my gosh. What the hell? Just kind of walk them through this story, right? Say, hey, walk them through the hell. We could cap it off with the heaven of the pride in his father's eyes and the touch on the shoulder. And now do you kind of feel that tension? That tension needs to go somewhere. That tension needs to go somewhere, right? That is the magic of the gap. And everything, anytime we want anybody to do even a micro movement, a micro commitment, we want to think of the gap. Where are they now? How's their life going to be different if they do what we're suggesting? A subject line, the most powerful subject line, is going to create a hell and a heaven right there in the subject line. Now, sometimes we just don't have enough space, so we'll just talk about the symptoms of hell, right? Or we'll talk about a vision of heaven, which kind of self-creates a gap if they don't have that, which we'll talk more about here in the examples. So we don't necessarily have to create the hell and the heaven right there in the subject line because of space. Sometimes we can, and those are the most powerful. I found those are the most powerful subject lines. Not so much for opens. They do get open really well, but they really get the engagement and they really get the sales, especially if we're focused in. And again, I'm going to give you guys some examples for sure coming up here. But anytime, so as soon as we get them to open, what do we want to do? We want to create a gap to read the rest of the email. Sometimes it's just a curiosity thing, but sometimes we've already created a gap, right? So we want to maybe we can cap it off at the heaven, right? So I'll just throw out one of the examples right now. So if our subject line is warning, these Facebook ads will eat your money. Facebook ads eating your money. It's a symptom of Hell Island, right? They probably all experienced that. So we can open it up, and maybe the preview line is something to do with print money, right? The heaven. Facebook's ads are eating your lunch. This will help you print money, or this is one tip This prints money, right? Hey, it's Travis here. Boom, we just created the gap to want to read the rest of the email. Sometimes we just do it with curiosity, a little bit of thought. But everything we do, from clicking on a link, so we get into the email, what do we want them to do? If we want them to click on a link, we create the gap. What's your life like now before they click on the link? What's the life going to be like after they click on the link? Same thing with our product, right? We're constantly going through, it's like, so here's your life now. Here's what your life can be like after the gap. So let's talk about some examples here. And some of these we can just turn into subject lines. Some of these will take an email. But I kind of really, I keep pointing my way to this, but guys, this is way more than just email. Here's my first example. This sold millions of books. I think it's still on the top 10 bestsellers list. The 4-Hour Workweek. And the subtitle. Does anybody remember what the subtitle was? Perfect. Hell, Heaven Island gap. Escape the 9 to 5. That's a symptom of hell, right? There's nothing inherently bad or good or right or wrong with the 9 to 5, right? If 9 to 5, if the 9 to 5 is your hell, then you're going to resonate with that, right? Escape the 9 to 5. And what was the heaven? And join the new rich. Holy shit. And kind of the 4-Hour Workweek, which we're going to get to, is the how, the how you do it, right? It's the area, it's the offer in between, right? It just kind of leads with the offer. Escape the 9 to 5 and join the new rich. How? With the 4-Hour Workweek. Holy crap. I need to get this book, right? So we'll move some relationship examples here. So the big term right now, and again, this is why I really like staying current and doing current stuff, is a big term right now called ghosting. So if you're dating a guy, and I know we got mostly men in here, but if you're dating a guy and everything's going oh so good and he just stops calling you, they call it, or stops coming around, they're calling that ghost, right? So that's a symptom of Hell Island, especially if it's words that they're using. So did he ghost on you? Question mark. One tip to get him running back. So running back, kind of a mind movie, right? Probably do better with that. I think crawling is probably a little overboard, but sometimes in the privacy of their own phone, the privacy of their own laptop, sometimes we can go a little bit overboard. I usually try to err on the side of not going overboard. Here's one of the biggest symptoms that's driving women absolutely freaking crazy right now. Why does it take a guy so long to text back? It's a symptom, but they're adding, right, the judgment to it. And that's what we want, right? So it would be like, why it takes him 2 days to return your text. I might want to, test that out with like why it takes him forever, why it takes him, 3 days, different things. But why did it take him days to return your text? And maybe what's the heaven vision? And here's how to get him to text you just to say he was thinking about you. Right? Here's how to get him to text you just to say he was thinking about you. Oh. Mm-hmm. And I've done this for women. My email, she's like, man, you're so tuned in to women. It's like, oh, that's exactly what we want. Another example. We kind of talked about this one. I kind of opened my kimono too soon. From Facebook ads that eat your money to ads that print money. Be a pretty good subject line. How do I know? I use that subject line. We sold a lot of product that way. And I actually did variations of it. I did one subject line was Facebook ads that eat your money. I had one that was Facebook ads that print money. Guess which one got more sales? We have eat money or print money. We have hell or we have heaven. Actually, the eat money, the hell, the people that had accounts and it felt like Facebook, they can't make it work. Facebook's eating their money. That present pain, much more motivated person. I say Facebook ads that print money, that sounds good, and people want that. But if they don't have the present pain, like if Pat's not on fire right now, if Pat has a nice lagoon full of drinking water, she's not going to be as motivated as if she wakes up in the morning and there's no drinking water. She even went the hell off that island, right? This one did pretty good. It wasn't necessarily an email. It was kind of an offer, whole offer positioning. We did somebody did really, really well. Got paused ad campaigns. This turns them into profitable campaigns. All those pause campaigns that just you were making sales on them, but they just weren't profitable. Here's how to make them profitable, right? Whoa, that worked really well. This one we kind of talked about, below 5 ad relevance score. Here's one tip to raise them to 9s and 10s. This other one, we kind of already opened my kimono on. From hiding my trading statements from my wife to from not being able to wait to show it to her, right? Or we could cap that off with the pride of the dad looking in my eyes with pride, right? I don't know if you guys watch a show called Barter Kings. I get the show like every entrepreneur should watch. The whole theme behind Barter Kings is at the beginning of the episode, they would get some little thing that was cheap, right? Not necessarily cheap, but they would start off small. They might start off with like a used iPhone. And the goal, what they would do is they would keep trading up. They would have a goal, what they wanted to trade up to. Maybe it was a fishing boat or something like that. And the rules were that they couldn't add any cash. They could not add any cash to the negotiation, right? So here's a couple examples. So I think I'm going from memory. So if anybody watch this episode, I'm a little bit off, but I think it'll serve its purpose. So they had a laptop, an old beat up laptop, and they wanted to trade it for this guitar amplifier, which is a really, really nice guitar amplifier. And I don't remember what the price difference was, like the value difference. I think it was like $500 or something, right? So there was this value difference of $500. These guys were great at creating a gap. So how do you do it, right? So the amplifier, let's say, is worth $1,500, and the laptop's worth $1,000. How do you get those guys to make that trade? The gap. And these guys were so great at it. They're like, they always get to that point where they just kind of like look at each other like, oh, you know, and the prospect's like, dude, my amplifier's worth $1,500 and your laptop's worth $1,000. And they just kind of like look at each other and shrug their shoulders, a little bit of a Columbo moment. And one of them will come out and say, well, what are you going to use the laptop for? And the person's like, well, I remember this part. He's like, my wife's going to nursing school, so she needs a laptop. And then he brilliantly does something, totally highlights what I'm trying to say. He's all, where is she going? She starts tomorrow morning. Dun, dun, dun. Present pain. He's like, look, you know, we got it here. So do everything she does. She'll have it for the morning. What do you want to do? He's like, deal. And this is the way they do like all these trades, right? They do all these trades like this by figuring out where the gap is. Where's the gap? What do they want? And here's what's even cool. Here's another example. I just love this example. If they couldn't kind of find that gap, they'll use a gap of their own, almost like it's a beautiful day and I can't see it. So I remember this one distinctly. I can't remember what they started trading for, but their whole goal was to get this pony for his daughter and her birthday. And so they started out with whatever it was, and they trade and trade and trade and trade. They get to this last trade, and I think it was trading a horse trailer for the pony. And the owner really wanted one with no rust, and she wanted a specific one and everything. And it wasn't quite up to her standards. And, of course, there was this gap in value. And so, again, they're standing there like Columbo, like, what are we going to do, you know, with this gap? And he presents his own gap. He's like, look, I understand we're kind of far off. I understand that you wanted this. Here's all I'm trying to do. I've got a little 9-year-old girl that all she wants in the world is a pony. And so her birthday dinner's, you know, tonight. I'm just trying to get her this pony. That's all I'm trying to do. And the lady's like, looks at him. She's like, okay, let's make a little girl happy, right? Boom! creates the gap. They're so powerful. If you understand what we're doing with the present pain, what's the gap, where are they at now, we can even introduce other stuff to that. I'm not saying to do that all the time. I'm not saying to say, hey, I'm in the sales contest and all I want to do is, don't do that all the time. I'm just saying how powerful the gap can be. Use a gap in their world, it's much more powerful. That's creating, or not creating, but highlighting the tension, right? When it's a beautiful day and I can't see it, it's not that we created sympathy or we created that feeling. People already naturally have that. We're just highlighting it, right? It's a beautiful day and I can't see it. And then like, oh, I want to do, oh, there's the can. That's how I can assuage whatever feeling that I'm having. That becomes the offer. But let's talk about our offers aren't always that simple, right? It would be great if we just put a can out there and our offers were that simple. But in between hell and heaven, it's like Pat wouldn't be on hell if there was no obstacles in between, right? She wouldn't be there, or he wouldn't be there. She'd just swim across or do whatever to get across, maybe build a raft. She's probably attempted it. But now we have to understand, and this is such an important topic that we're going to cover. We're going to do nothing but offers in the next call, and what creates, just like over the years of experience that I've had, what will create amazing offers and what will kill it better than a doornail. But I want to start doing some of it now. So there's a reason why Pat's still stuck on hell. And sometimes what people do is, what not to do, is we try to create more and more fire, and we're almost setting fire to Pat's island, right? If Pat ever sees you lighting fire to their island, you're done. You don't want to like say, oh, you know, if you don't do this, you're going to be eating dog food and your kids are going to grow up to be losers. And I know that sounds funny, but I see people doing this. It's not to create more drama and to twist the knife harder and harder and harder. What we want to look at is the obstacles and what Pat's already tried to get across, right? Why? She's probably already tried some stuff, right? She may have tried to like swim across and like practically drown on the way over, right? Because she just couldn't swim that far, right? She got a quarter of the way, she just couldn't swim that far. Or maybe she sees the sharks out there, right? She sees the sharks out there. She's like, oh, I don't want to get eaten by sharks. Maybe an old, wily raft blueprint salesman said, hey, I've got a blueprint where you can build a raft and see those sharks. Those sharks won't get you in this raft. And Pat gets excited. She's like, oh, that sounds like it could work. So she buys the blueprints for $47. Don't ask me how the sales guy gets hell off the island. but gives her the blueprint. But when she opens it up, she starts looking at it. She's got to have bamboo. The problem is Pat doesn't have bamboo on her island. So if you're the next blueprint guy coming along, I'm thinking about there's 1,001 ways to get off the island, right? But if you're the next blueprint guy, you better say, hey, you know, the reason your last blueprint fails is because you're using bamboo. It called for bamboo. You don't have bamboo. You have palm trees, and you have to set palm trees a little bit different way. You have to have these tools to cut them down and to create this raft, right? So what we're talking about, and it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I've had several people tell me, Travis, I've got degrees in marketing, and this has never been so clear as it is now. And they just go off and do really great guns. But what we're talking about is offer positioning, and marketing and offer positioning. So what we want to look at is, why is Pat still on the island? What obstacles are out there that keeps Pat from getting off the island? What have they tried to get around those obstacles? We need to know all of this, right? Are they even aware of something? Like if I drove up with a motorboat, it's going to be like the best thing in the world. But if she just hears it as a loud thing that sprays water everywhere, we might have some positioning and some, edutaining we need to do, right? Are they aware? Are they aware of the solution? Are we making it clear, right? But our positioning is like, it's always about the offer, guys. It's always, always, always about your offer and your offer positioning. It's not about the words that you use. If you've got a halfway decent symptom of Hell Island and you're capping it off of the vision, and then your offer makes sense and they trust you, right? So if you've sold them something before or they just don't know you, right, then they're going to be suspect. And again, that's why the bonding mojo is so important. You got to feel like you're on your side, and the key, the secret to that is being on their side. And here's the key question I always ask myself, and if we're going to boil down all the questions, is what don't they like about what exists right now to get them off Hell Island over to Heaven Island? What don't they like? Or they might even be partway off, and they might be using something, but what is it they don't like about what they're using right now? And here's what I love about, that's what I love about this whole game, guys. This is what I love about marketing. There's always something not to like. There's always innovation, right? You take the iPhone. It's like this perfect gem of modern technology, right? But there's still stuff not to like about it. You got to charge it, right? Probably what will happen at some point, we'll have phones you don't need to charge, right? People will glom onto those, right? There's always something not to like. Really great example I really want to highlight for you guys is hopefully you may not be familiar. There's a product that just did great guns. I think they still do really well. It's called Amazing Selling Machines. And they're basically showing people that it's like everybody's doing it now. But when they first came on the scene, they did great guns. And here's why. Let's take a look at this from the Triple H, the Hell Heaven hook. So the hell is people not making enough money. They're trapped to a cubicle, right? They're got a boss with all the symptoms of hell. They want the vision of owning their own business, an internet business. They want the vision of the laptop lifestyle. But one of the big obstacles, and one of the big obstacles is getting enough traffic, right? That's how do I get traffic? So Pat tries all these things to get traffic. She tries the SEO. What do they like about SEO? It takes so damn long, right? Tried the pay-per-click. Damn, that's expensive. Don't like that about it, right? Tried the JV thing. Man, you got to know somebody. It's like all these things to get traffic, and they try all these different things, right? It becomes sophisticated. But guess what happens when Amazing Selling Machines comes along? They say, you suck at getting traffic? That's okay. It's all the traffic you'll ever want on Amazon. You don't have to worry about driving traffic anymore. Ding, 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 ding. Winner, 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 winner. Offer positioning. My first really big success was I was an affiliate. I was trying to sell more Match.com, more Chemistry.com. This was back in like 2005. And all those keywords, if you were to like buy traffic or try to SEO those keywords, is almost nearly impossible. Any word that had the word dating in it, like, woo-wee, that's hard. Again, I'm positioning, like, what's bringing people to these sites? I'm saying they're probably coming off a breakup or a divorce. And I start looking at those keywords, and like, nobody's on them. Like, nobody, right? So I start up a breakup advice column. Basically, the goal was to get them through the breakup, right? So, hey, you got pain for a breakup. I'm going to help you soothe that pain, get over your ex, and get you back out into the dating game, right? And my whole goal was to start selling a lot of Match.com, Chemistry.com, and all that good stuff. And it worked pretty well. It worked really, really well. But there's always something not to like, right? And as I kept my ear close to the ground, I wish I would just figure this out, but I didn't. I listened. And we're going to talk about this here in a minute. I listen. T-Dub, that's my pen name. Everything about me is completely true. I just changed my name because we started getting really popular and people were showing up on my doorstep, and it really freaked Jeannie out, so I just changed my pen name. But T-Dub Jackson is actually the name on my birth certificate, and it's a long story, but I believe that you guys know that I'm authentic. So I don't make up stories when I write email. It's all about me. T-Dub is just a pen name. Everything I tell in my emails is completely authentic and true. I don't use fake personas. I just feel that's important to bring out. So I'm keeping my ear to the ground, and T-Dub, man, I don't really want to go back into the dating game. It's like we just broke up for a stupid reason. Or, hey, this happened, you think there's any chance of saving this relationship? I'm like, holy shit, this is what they want, right? And serendipitously, I had a lot of experience being in the Navy, mom going, I won't go into a lot of details. I have a lot of serendipitous experience in that. I also was positioned not to have a degree, which turned out to be an advantage. I'll explain it a little bit, but to make a long story short, I started sending, hey, I'm hearing what you guys are saying. You guys just really want to fix things with your ex. And man, I was just deluged with responses, right? So came up with a product, launched it off, and did really, really well. Let's put it that way. Did really, really well. And I used everything that I had with the positioning, right? I didn't have a degree. I wasn't a licensed therapist, and I used that to my advantage. And I have a licensed therapist in my mastermind, and I tell them to sell against me. But always use a positioning, right? So what don't they like about licensed therapists? Well, you got to go into their office. It takes a long time. It's expensive. All those different things. I just sold against those. And I even said, in my letter, it's like, hey, I make some licensed therapists kind of mad at me. And I got hate mail from them. But I use it to my advantage, right? Because what these guys really wanted in this positioning was everybody was telling them, oh, just forget about them. There's other fish in the sea. Don't worry about it. You'll find somebody else. What they want is just some wise to the world kind of person to listen and help them figure out what went wrong in their relationship and how they can take steps to repair that if that's possible, right? Just somebody to tell them that other than, hey, forget about them. There's other fish in the sea, right? Offer positioning. There's a lot of great email marketing courses out there. And some of my positioning, just to open the kimono with you guys, you're probably here for some of these reasons, is that, and again, I have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's a lot of those courses out there that when they open up their bubble maps, there's 48 bubbles, right? It's like, holy shit. And you have to be a really great writer. You have to be an awesome writer. And mine is as long as you understand the gap and the offer positioning, you don't, the writing is just something you just want them to like you. That's it. It doesn't have to be fancy. So my positioning is, hey, if you can write at a 6th grade level, you can do Email Mojo. That's part of my positioning. It's the people that aren't good writers. I even tell people that, hey, if you're a great writer, maybe I'm not the guy for you. It's like most people don't feel like they're great writers. I kind of use that to my advantage, right? Part of my other positioning is, I'm just giving these examples so you guys can see. Part of my other positioning is, you can sell a lot bigger ticket items just through email and a order form than most people think of. How? Because I'm telling you the how is the marketing, right? Understanding the marketing and understanding what I'm telling you now. But other people aren't, most of the emails, you sell $97 stuff. And most of those, I'm seeing guys right now, I have nothing against them, but they're selling high ticket stuff as email marketers and sending them to VSLs and sending them to videos and sending them to webinars. That's totally cool. I don't have a problem with that, right? It's awesome. And a screwdriver is not better than a hammer. It's just a different tool. But, right, the way I'm positioning, just do it through email, right? If you want to throw some webinars on top of that, that's cool. Especially coaches. What don't they like about their day? Well, they got 3, 4, 5 phone calls they got to be on every day, right? Hey, if I could tell some of this through email, that'd be really awesome. Get me off the phone some more, right? I don't like being on the phone all day. So here's the point I kind of want to make with this. When we think about the obstacles and the offers that they have available to them in between, so we don't have to be the best. I would encourage you not to try to be the best and show the 500 different ways that you're the best, but figure out where you're meaningfully different. Meaningfully different. That believe there's a whole lot in business that comes down to your inner mojo and your inner state of being, and I'm completely different than all the personal development stuff out there, but that's not meaningful to my market for what I'm doing. They like really just don't really care about that right now. Especially if I'm selling it, email mojo course, right? It's not meaningfully different. So we come up with where we're meaningfully different or meaningfully unique, or to use old marketing the terms, what's your unique selling proposition? But that's so big, it's hard for people to get around. But here's the magic to making it happen. Where's Pat? Why isn't she gotten off the island? What is it she doesn't like about the stuff that's out there? And how can you position yourself differently but meaningfully? And you don't have to be the best. I get so excited with this stuff because this is like where the magic is. And so much so that, again, like we're going to do a whole another topic on just like what makes compelling offers and what makes offers work, and you put all the work into them and they won't work, and I'll tell you what's happening. But for right now, I really want you guys get that positioning. It's like start thinking about what is it they don't like and how can I position my product to that. Sometimes it takes some engineering, right? Hopefully it doesn't take too much engineering. Most of you guys are seasoned and entrepreneurs and online marketers and business people here. So if your product's selling, you probably do have some meaningful difference. You just want to call that out, right? And be able to say, hey, if you're a great writer, go get somebody else's course. If you're not such a great writer, but you still want to sell a lot and you want to sell big ticket from your email, then I'm your dude. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. I get it. It's so easy, right? But if I were to sit down and say why I'm better than everybody else, and I don't believe that, a hammer is better than a screwdriver, right? It's a different tool. You find out what their situation is and how your tool works. If it works, great. If it's not for that purpose, awesome. I'm going to kind of prelude you to your homework. Part of what I want you to do for your homework, and then we're going to kind of go into the how a little bit, is for each island and the stuff in between, I want you to come up with at least 10, a list of 10 in each one. So I'm like 10 symptoms of Hell Island, 10 visions of Heaven Island, and I just call them 10 hooks, right? But what is it they don't like? What's the 10 different things? How is it 10 different ways that yours is a little bit meaningfully different? Or just come up with 10 things they don't like, right? About the things that they're having to they can get to go around the obstacles, right? So I've got a great gentleman in my Mojo Mastermind. We just did hundreds of thousands of dollars with his offer. It's a great offer. We positioned it. He's got a great offer where he does traffic arbitrage. And so our thing is like, our people, Pat, in this specific case, aren't great at selling. But hey, you're not great at selling? Now, do we come across and say, we're the best internet course ever to be out there? We're better than everybody. No, we say, hey, if you're not great at sales, guess what? You don't have to sell anything. Whoa, that works pretty good. No fancy words were needed. Like John, I love him to death, but he doesn't have a lot of, he tells great emails because he's a good story person, but they're nothing fancy. I mean, literally, nothing fancy. It's about the offer, right? It's like, holy crap. It's like, yeah, I want my online business, but I'm not good at selling things, right? That's the positioning we use. So great. So you don't have to sell anything. So I want you to come up with like 10 different things they don't like about what's available out there, or 10 different hooks, right? Or 10 different obstacles that they have, or you can do a mix and match, right? And I want you to start using these, keep on writing the emails using the triangle of insight. So let's talk about how the triangle of insight, I told you to get more colors in the palette. So really the only thing that changes is the left-hand corner of that triangle. So previous to this, we had symptom of Hell Island in the left-hand corner. We had wisdom at the top pinnacle of the triangle, and we had metaphor, story, or analogy in the right-hand corner, right? So really the only thing that changes here, really nothing changes, is this on that left-hand side of the triangle, we can use any of those 10 things from either 10 Hell Islands or 10 Heaven Islands or 10 hooks in between, or the obstacles or the options, right, in between. We can start out with any of those. So now we've got all these different palettes that we can use, right? So let's just say we only had 10 in each one. I don't want to get ridiculous on the math, but let's just say that all you had was 10 on each one, right? You had 10 symptoms of Hell Island, you had 10 symptoms or visions of Heaven Island, and you had 10 obstacles or options in between. Now you can mix and match those 10 times 10 times 10. That's 100, 1,000. But now, how many pieces of wisdom can you give them? Let's say you only have 5 pieces of wisdom. Now you've got 5,000 combinations, right? How many metaphors, analogies, or stories can you come up with? Let's say you can only come up with 10 of those. So now you got 50,000 combinations. You got 50,000 emails that you could write on one offer. Now I'm being ridiculous just to make a point. Obviously, we're not going to write 50,000 emails for one offer. But what you guys are getting to see is like when you're sitting there staring, you know, you pull out the triangle of insight. Look at your Hell Island. Pick a symptom. Find out the wisdom for it. Some metaphor, analogy, or story, right? So let me kind of back up to some how, because we'll kind of give you part of your homework. But pros don't guess at the symptoms or the visions or the stuff in between. So I want to talk about some different ways that we can fill in those symptom boxes without guessing. Now, if you've been in your market a long time and you absolutely know these symptoms are good, awesome, I would still encourage you to get them out of the mouths of your prospects, though. One of my favorite ways, especially if you're in a rabid market, people write you email and they tell you about their problem. Pull up those old emails. If you remember, like, grandpa kisses. I wish I would have come up with that. He kisses me like he's my grandpa or something, right? Or I feel like we're brother and sister. I feel like we're roommates, right? Those are all powerful. I feel like we're roommates. That's way more powerful than saying lots of passion in your relationship. Feel like you have a roommate, not a partner? Whoa. Boom, right? So go dig up some old emails if you have those. If you don't have a lot of old email, for some reason, I'm going to be posting what I call the North Star survey. I'm a little leery of surveys, and I'll tell you why. But I call it the North Star because it'll point you in the right direction. It will point you in the right direction, but until somebody pulls out their wallet, as soon as they're thinking about pulling out, the whole game changes, right? They will tell you what sounds good in a survey, but not always exactly what they want. I'm thinking of the cable guy right now, Larry the Cable Guy. Please, Lord, don't kill me. Don't strike me down. And women, please don't get upset with me. If I were to survey women, and I have, on what they want, they will never, ever say they want to be able to manipulate the guy they're with or be able to control his behavior or control his actions. They will never, ever say that. They actually believe that as well, too. But what they buy and what they purchase, more often than not, is how can I get him to do things my way? So you can use survey. I'll post the North Star survey. I give major props inside of it to Ryan Levesque and Glenn Livingston. Ryan got a lot of it from Glenn Livingston, but they're just 3 questions and how to go through it. There's a training along with that. Again, it's just a direction. And I'll tell you something I like even better as we get on the course, but it's more like troubleshooting a campaign. I also like, I used to go to forums all the time. I made more money from going to forums. Now it's Facebook groups. There are still some forums out there, but find a Facebook group that's related to your niche and go and look at what gets commented on a lot. It gets a lot of likes. Very often in the relationship space, I find great, like they'll post a meme, right, and it'll get like 10,000 likes and all these kind of shares. I'm like, oh, that's a good angle, right? That's how they're feeling, right? Like one of them I found that was really great. It's like if you believe if you believe a good relationship should be between 2 people, but some bitch keep getting in the way, right? I use that in one of my emails. Like, holy crap! Like they loved it, right? But I didn't come up with it. some bitch keeps getting in my way, right? Sorry, hopefully nobody has their little kids listening. But forums and Facebook groups, you want to get it out of their mouth. You want to get it out of their, what is the words that your prospects use. Don't use words that you would use. Use words that your prospects would use. It's a really great example. I see this all the time in the relationship space. So one of my Mojo men, we just oversold the class that he had, but we were coming up with an offer for him. It was a $500 offer, and we oversold it. He's like, well, what they want is true love. I'm like, Bob, I love you, man, but how do you make a mind movie out of true love, right? It's like 6 weeks to true love. I mean, that might sell some, right? But when we look, and again, we kind of didn't want to come out and say it, but what they really want is like a secure man, right? And we don't want to come out and say financially secure because there's more to it. It's not just about the finances, the kind of guy that is financially secure. So we've hooked the 6 weeks to a secure man. Oversold it, right? Secure man, I still was searching for something more vivid and more vision, right? But it's way better. You can see a secure man. You can't see true love, right? You can't picture true love. One of my favorite ways is the old live conversation. You're like, Travis, you said you were going to do all this, didn't have to get on the phone. And that's that's true for the selling part. But one of my favorite ways is just to get somebody on the phone. And people, here's the thing, people love to talk about their problems. So I'll give you, I used to sell unstuck sessions. I still do every once in a while. But basically, it's somebody pays me $500 to get on the phone, tell me their problems, and I help them get unstuck. Now, my goal of it is not to sell $500 worth. My goal is to find who's got such a hair-on-fire problem that they're willing to spend $500 and get it unstuck. And then I just find out, so what's going on, right? And I take copious amount of notes about their problem. Why do you feel you haven't been able to solve this yet, right? The obstacles in between. What is it you would like? How do you know when you got that, right? How do you know when you have that? So I want true love. What does that mean? You get them to drill down. What does that mean? How do you know when you have true love? And you get them to paint that vision, right? So that's one of my favorite ways. And I'll give you guys the copy for the unstuck session. So if you want to do that, you can either do them for free. You can say, hey, I'm going to do a free unstuck session, or charge a nominal amount. By the way, what makes those really work is they love the recordings. I found that out by accident. So I say, hey, when you get on Skype or a phone call, you tell me your problems. I'm going to help you get unstuck from them. I'm really good at it. And I'll record it for your future use. So at the time I did that, I was having some trouble with my Skype recorder. And so I was like, hey, do you care if we have the recording? He's like, dude, that's the whole reason I want it. So I'm like, oh, okay. That was like a big thing. So that's kind of like a little side benefit and note for you. So those are the different ways you can go and, Amazon too. Go to Amazon. Look at books in your category. Look at what they don't like about the book. Look at what they do like, but what they don't like. Very, very helpful. So homework. And this is kind of heavy on the homework this time. And next time there won't be any homework. So bear down and get this homework done. We're just going to be doing offers next week. But here's what I want you to do for homework. List 10 of each of your H's, right? 10 symptoms of Hell Island, 10 visions of Heaven Island, and 10 hooks. And a hook is the obstacle or the option in between, right? And of course your messaging would be how you help them get over that or why they don't have to deal with that. Now that you have those, you're going to be ready to write your first order form. You're like, holy crap. There's a separate training that I'm going to drop in, and this is kind of like one of the key awesome pieces. Key awesome piece, that's really persuasive. But it's called the G3 order form for gimme, gimme, gimme. And so if we're doing all the heavy lifting in the email, all we need is a good putter to put the ball in. The G3 order form is the great putter. So there's a separate training that'll walk you through how to put up the G3 order form. The first time you do it, it might take you a little bit longer than 60 minutes, but most people can get it done in focus time about 60 minutes or less if they've done their homework on the Hell, Heaven, and Hook, right? Because you have to have that before you can write the G3. And you'll see that when you go through there, because all we're doing with the G3 order form, we're talking escape from hell, entrance into heaven, and then we tell them what they get in a really cool way, which will be explained there. So I'd like you to have that G3 order form, because before you do the big Rainmaker campaign, I always, even in my agency, I always write the order form first. It's like writing the sales letter first or writing the VSL. And if you're not exactly clear on your offer, that's okay. Get really clear on the hell, heaven, and hook, and your offer sometimes will come really clear, right? And doing the order form will help you clarify your offer. And that way you'll be prepared for next week when we come start talking about the offer. You can see with some tweaks that you can make. But that's going to be a separate training that's posted in there. It's recorded, all ready to go. You can go through it at your own pace. But you will not be able to do it as easily as you could if you haven't done this homework. So list 10 of each H, the G3 order form. Go through that training and just write it down in Word. You don't have to like post it up on a website yet. Just write it down in Word. It's pretty. You can almost use the G3 order form I have almost as a template on the key parts of it. But that's your homework. So awesome.